Laura Domondon-Lee here at Memorial Park. Welcome to Points of Light, our special program on the 1991 Cupertino Civic Service Awards. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll meet 15 individuals and one organization who have been recognized by the City of Cupertino for the positive difference they've made in the community. We hope that the sharing of their stories might provide some insight into what it takes to become a volunteer and illuminate the lives of others. You may also want to keep a pad and pen nearby because we'll be flashing names and numbers of community organizations which these individuals belong to. It may inspire you to call or lend a hand too, who knows? We'll be back with the story of Jack Hubby, our first Civic Service Award recipient, when we return with Points of Light in a moment.
There was a time when people helped their neighbors, and together they built a stronger community. This spirit lives on today in NeighborWorks, a unique partnership of local residents, business, and government leaders. NeighborWorks volunteers have rebuilt over 100,000 homes, restoring pride to millions of neighbors. So help a neighbor and a nation join NeighborWorks, reversing decline, rebuilding pride.
Welcome back to Points of Light, the City Channel special on the 1991 Cupertino Civic Service Awards. I'm Laura Domondon-Lee, Public Information Aide for the City of Cupertino. Every year, the City of Cupertino recognizes individuals and organizations for their significant contributions to the community. Such contributions are defined by 6 categories, and those categories are volunteerism, recreation, cultural arts, community service, education, and business. The first of our 16 honorees is Jack Hubby. As the only individual to be recognized under the category of business, Jack has offered countless hours to the Cupertino Chamber of Commerce. Here we see him in one of his lighter moments, leading the Chamber of Commerce Briefcase Brigade in the Cupertino Heritage Parade. Jack also spends a great deal of time at the Youth Science Institute located in Vauna Park and organizing its annual Ron's Wildlife Run. Here's what Jack had to say about volunteering and what it means to him.
I think there's a small core in the Cupertino area that are known at getting the job done. And everybody knows that. So they know they're good, they're organized, and they keep their word when they make a promise. They follow through. And it's just me. I'm one of those kind of people too, and I have a reputation that if you give it to me, you know that you'll get it done, and I'm proud of that. But what's interesting is that why isn't everybody like this? I mean, we're making a big deal about it. I mean, it seems like the society is changing a little bit, where I think we all should be this way, and and everybody should be applauded. And it's just there's always just a select group that are this way. For me, for volunteer work, it's doing something that I like to do anyway. Okay. And if some other organization or nonprofit gets to benefit from it, I think that's great. But I mean, it's really, I'm doing what I want to do, and it's a social thing. There's my buddies, we do things together and see each other, and it's that feeling of family, of camaraderie that I like about it.
Our second group of Civic Service Award recipients fall under the category of education. And for this, we'll begin with the only organization to receive recognition this year, the Apple Professional Women's Organization. Under the leadership of Linda Tom Rosiak, this organization of close to 50 professional women financially support both families and especially single mothers in need. Without the help of these women, young single mothers may not have the opportunity to continue their education.
Actually was updated, and the statistics are...
I think that one of the things that made us really want to start the group, there's probably 2 major reasons. The first was we had strong feelings about some of women's issues, and we didn't know what to do with those feelings. We wanted to do something, again, we didn't know how to do the right thing. The second one was knowing that each of us, not particularly at that point in time, but at different points in time, had personal struggles, either being a single parent or having to go back to school or needing some financial assistance at one point or another, where we'd been able to either turn to other friends of ours or family and get the support we needed and then get over that hurdle and back on track. I think what we realized was that we wanted to be there for other women too.
It was so that we could, help people along rather than some of the stereotypic views that, that come across for women about not being supportive and not, providing that kind of vehicle for some women. And there's a lot of women out there, especially in the community, who need additional support. They don't know how to get it. They don't know how to ask for it.
We noticed that in a lot of cases, not only do we meet all of the needs, but we actually exceed them. We get people that don't have time to shop, and so they give money. And we either go out and shop for the people that haven't been adopted or taken care of, or we take the money and turn it into gift certificates for groceries or for stores so that people can go shop on their own. So they feel like they have more control over it, and it's not just a gift, it's more of an ability to go out and do it on their own, which is kind of nice.
Our second education recipient is Gerald Mantranga.
When you're not able to maintain your fields at the way you'd like to, or maintain your buildings, or provide anything that you would like to be able to provide because of limited dollars, and then you're able to find a way to do that without any additional dollars, there's a sense of satisfaction that goes along with that. The school district is attempting to develop partnerships so that we can improve our fields without adding additional costs, so that they're in better condition for the students to use, and also in better condition for the field users and for the neighbors. In addition to that, we're trying to get out of the parks and recreation business and focus our energy on teaching children, which is what we do well.
It should also be noted that Gerald Mantranga is the past president of PACE, the Pacific Autism Center for Education, located in Cupertino, and that he currently serves as treasurer on the board of directors. More of the City Channel's Points of Light after these messages.
Just a fraction of what we spend dining out could help pick up the tab for a good cause. A small part of what we spend on sports could help keep our community in shape. Or some of our time on the phone could help answer society's problems. Won't you get involved? By giving 5% of your income and volunteering 5 hours per week, you can really help your community. This year, make it your goal to give 5. What you get back is immeasurable.
Welcome back to the City Channel's special on the 1991 Cupertino Civic Service Award recipients. Our next category, under which 4 individuals were honored, is called Community Service. We begin with super leader and super mom, Therese Ducharme, who inspired 30 families from her neighborhood in the Oakdale Ranch community to think big, as in the big one.
Then I got them the checklist. Christina was about 2 years old, and we were just going to the grocery store to pick up an item that I had forgotten. Luckily, I was still holding her, and we were just starting to walk down the aisles when things started to shake, and it was scary. I didn't know what to do, and my first reaction was to run out, and that's what I did. I got out in the parking lot as fast as I could. We are going to be more prepared just having thought about it than we would have been if we hadn't done anything. So we're definitely more prepared. And in the process of doing this, I have managed to get earthquake or emergency supplies stored in my yard. I was worried that if something happened to me, my kids would be either stuck in the house crying because they didn't know where I was or couldn't get to me, or I don't know, if I'm hurt, I can't help them. And I want to know that if someone is hurt, they will come and someone will be here to take care of my kids. So that was my big motivation, is that there would be someone here or looking for us, looking out for us.
I didn't realize
size of the damage was just from things shaking around and falling off the shelves.
Next, under community service, Brian Lau.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Instead of this one?
Yeah.
Because they told me you wanted a cake, so
Yeah.
it's okay. I think they took this out of the freezer. There are people out there who need help, and they may be reluctant to come to maybe CCS for help or whatever. And so when they do come for help, we try to make them feel as welcome as possible, and that's nothing to be ashamed of, because I'm sure everybody's needed help sometime or another in some form. So it's nothing different. I said I was going to be back next summer. I told all the staff members that you can expect me to come back next summer. We're actually helping them help themselves, and that's one of I think that's our motto. Help to help yourself.
And now, Vauna Pipal.
Since I've lived in Cupertino, I've been really interested in the community, and I started doing volunteer work kind of on a small basis with just service clubs and things like that, maybe 10 years ago or so. And then as I became more involved in the community, I began to get into some of the service organizations and joined Quota Club and became a member of the Cupertino Community Services Board. And that got me even more involved, and I've really enjoyed every minute of it, so I've stayed with that.
I'll be back in a few minutes.
I'm busy, but I enjoy being busy, and I just schedule things in, and it all works out. I did take some time off work to take my classes for my Doctor of Education degree, and so with that availability of time, I was able to do the coursework. And it's just a matter of, I guess, if you enjoy what you're doing, then you don't mind putting in the hours to do it.
And finally, Cathey Edwards.
Okay, you ready? Well, can you start eating this, okay?
One of the women who's here tonight helping was here. She had come by the shelter with me one of the first weeks that it was open. And then she came last Friday to help with the dinner, and she said to me the next day, now these people aren't the same people who were there when I first came. And I said, yes, they are. And she said she did not recognize them. They looked so different, so much more healthy. They didn't look homeless. They were much more, their personal appearance was much better. And that was just a wonderful reflection of what this program is about. And the way we have the program set up is that we have a host church, and then we have a support church who isn't hosting that month, who's helping with meals. And so the singles group decided that they wanted to prepare pizza, because they did a meal a few weeks ago, and they asked the guys what they'd like, and they said, we haven't pizza yet. And so Tim Risch, who's kind of the head cook here, decided that he would throw together some pizza. So they're making homemade pizza.
One of the 4 individuals just mentioned in our community service category was also honored with the prestigious City Award, the award given to 2 of the most outstanding community volunteers. We'll announce who that person is later in the show, but now let's meet the Civic Service Award recipients honored under the category of cultural arts. Nori Kondo has been a member of the Cupertino Toyokawa Sister City Committee since its inception 13 years ago. City officials and exchange students from Toyokawa often come to visit, and Nori, along with her husband John, opened their home to these special guests. Here's what she has to say about her ongoing relationship with the Sister City Committee.
I have to admit that I was really quite sort of ignorant about Japan, you know, before we went over there, before we began our relationship. But now that we went over there and we see how enthusiastic these people are, and we were so impressed with the country as a whole, the beautiful country of Japan, And it really made me proud of my background for the first time. And so I think that's the reason that my husband and I both are very enthusiastic about this program. We want to help promote good relationships between the two countries. And I think that the Sister City program, the basic principle of it is a people-to-people relationship. And that way you really get to know the people. And I think this helps to promote peace. And so it's really quite important to me.
Our second of 3 cultural arts recipients, Don McClean.
I find history a living thing, not a dead issue. As treasurer, I've been keeping all of the financial records for the Society for the past 9 years. And this includes producing monthly financial statements, keeping track of all the money, investing it in bank accounts and that kind of thing, trying to maximize the earnings on the resources that we have, and producing all the financial records. Annually, we have an auditing committee to see that everything balances. And so we've kept track of every penny for the last 9 years, and we've gone from probably an operating budget of several $1,000s to annual budget now of about $40,000 with the museum and a paid museum director. I produce a resume that is a reproduction of essentially the checkbook. And in fact, I have an easier time balancing the checkbook for the Historical Society than I do my own.
And finally, Katherine Tobin.
The college I went to was very strong in the fine arts, and so I was always around people who were creating art and presenting art. And though my field was English literature, if you think about symbols and stories, you see that in written word, and then I could see it also by watching these people in their visual creation. So I guess that was, although I had gone as a child to many art galleries, that's where I started to get entranced with visual arts as a thought-provoking expression of what's going on in the world.
This is all charcoal.
Most of us want to do some practical work or use our skills in the most practical way we can, but for inspiration, for meaning, for help in thinking about the mysteries of life, that's maybe what art does for me.
Katherine Tobin continues to be a driving force behind the UFRAC Gallery. As past vice president and current president of the board, she has recruited other board members and continues to promote the unique voice that the gallery represents. We'll continue with Points of Light in a moment. To say that Bob Yee enjoys retired life is an understatement. Bob loves music and he loves people, although not necessarily in that order. As the sole recipient of a Civic Service Award under the category of Recreation, for your listening pleasure, here's Bob Yee playing with the city-renowned Cupertino Swing Band.
It's good to see that the big band music has not died, because I think it's the best music there is. Our purpose is to play songs like the old days. When we play, we like to play just like they did. In other words, when we play in the mood, we want to sound like Glenn Miller. Getting Sentimental Over You, like Tommy Dorsey, you know. Sugar Blues like Clyde McCoy, Begin to Begin like Artie Shaw, things like that. After I retired in '81, I started playing golf here at Blackberry, and I noticed that, you know, we had a lot of seniors from as far as San Carlos and San Mateo playing, and this course is just ideal for a senior because it's short, it's flat, and they can all walk, so they come from all over just to play this course. And I came to this golf course and I told them, could I have a tea time for every Monday afternoon? And I promise you that our seniors will not clog up the golf course. And he said, sure. So that's how it started.
As a Civic Service Award honoree, Bob's credits also include making a mean teriyaki chicken for large groups at the Senior Center. Those who are honored under the category of volunteerism completes our list and also make up the largest category of individuals. Volunteerism recipients are honored for the kind of community service that receives no monetary compensation. It is also in this group that you'll see the greatest variety of talent and skill, beginning with Michele Schulein, who has spent her summers in some of the most impoverished villages of Central America.
With Amigos, a young person lives with families down in Latin America. And my summer in Ecuador, I lived with a family, and next door was a president of the town's family. And he and his wife were just phenomenal and nice beyond belief to me. And I would walk with her to move the animals each day, and I would talk to him about the project and how it was going. And my partner and I, we made American meals for them one day, and just at the end of a day's work, we'd always stop by and talk. The culture almost is the culture of poverty compared to what I live in, which is middle class and in the Silicon Valley, and then to be transported to, you know, the very poor in Latin America, and just learning about that and learning different values. For instance, you know, it doesn't matter how much you make as long as you're happy, or it doesn't matter, you know, how many material goods you have as long as you're happy and, you know, have a good family and stuff like that. Just values that are sometimes, you know, forgotten or here.
Next under volunteerism, Donna Lawler.
Now we have Quarter Club of Cupertino, featuring a Christmas theme promoting the Dickens Fair.
This feels like a hometown. It feels like a community. And because of that, that's what makes me want to do more, because it's like a little community. It's not this big, you know, city where everybody is cold-hearted. People know each other, and people care in Cupertino. And when they say people care in Cupertino, it means a lot to me, because they do.
Yeah, so that's when I'm going to start. I told them when I come down Thursday, I'll start doing the plan. At the minimum of, this would be the minimum I could pay at $323, requesting it to be that she at least have at age.
There's been cases in the last year where we've had some personal things happening, and I was amazed about how many people called and actually was concerned about us, Gary and I, and it was just wonderful, because in a lot of towns or cities you would never get that.
Wayland Lim is our third of 5 recipients in the volunteerism category.
It's been purely really by accident that I am so heavily involved, but I certainly didn't intend to be a civil servant.
They don't know the game is at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
They didn't know that yet.
It's an interesting league because it's the only league that I've been involved with, or that I know, that the boys and girls actually play together on the same team. So we don't have separate girls teams and separate boys teams. They actually play together. And surprisingly, it worked out very, very well. And we're in our 2nd season now, and that'll be starting towards the end of the year. And so I'm taking on more administrative duties now. I've learned an awful lot, and I've met a lot of tremendous people along the way. In my contacts with the Chamber of Commerce and city government, ASAC, Cupertino Hoops, I've come in contact with some really great people, and you know, that's what I enjoy.
Next up, Frances O'Brien.
Well, I just see things that need to be done,
and where help is needed, and just try to do it to the best of my ability.
Any possibility of you checking for me to see if the Hubby packet has come in?
I usually have my file folders here. I happen to have the Hubby one on top today because that's what we're talking about, but I do have a number of them here because I might sit here for 3 or 4 hours. And I have a portable phone here so I don't have to get up to answer the phone. I can make my phone calls right here, make my notes and anything that needs to be done. I just don't feel that it's time for me to stop, and I'm sure when it is time I will know it. But there's so many things that need to be done and so many people who don't want to do them. And since I do want to do them, then it just makes me feel good. It's very rewarding.
And finally, Mary Lou Lang.
$15,000, so we may not have to do taxes unless they change.
Finance is one thing that I unless my mind goes, I really can't see not doing it. It's so much fun for me. I get so much more back. Braille has been so interesting. The people are so nice, the kind of people you work with. It is not, I think if management could just begin to use what motivates volunteers. These people work for no money, you know, and it's knowledge and it's all kinds of things, but you get so much back from the people you help that you can't imagine. You know, parenting isn't quite the same thing. Your kids sort of, I guess teaching is the only thing close to it. When the person finally thinks, oh, look what I've done for myself. You know, when they can come in and use the library and do research or get a job and keep it because of the knowledge we give them, or they keep it just because they can get the stuff brailled. It's, you know, it really is fulfilling. You think, well, gee, you know, money doesn't have anything to do with it, I think.
In addition to her work with the Braille Transcription Project, Mary Lou also spends her time teaching at St. Joseph's Catholic Church and helping out at the Oddfellow Retirement Home in Gilroy. We'll reveal who this year's 2 City Award recipients are, along with some final comments in a moment. But first, here are the names and numbers of more organizations for you to jot down. In addition to presenting Civic Service Awards, the City of Cupertino also presents City Awards. City Award winners are selected for exemplary community work. And this year's 2 winners are Cathey Edwards, honored for her work with the homeless shelter program in Cupertino, and Katherine Tobin, whose work and love in the arts has brought immeasurable acclaim to the UFRAC Gallery.
This holiday season, AHA's nonprofit homes and services for the elderly, the communities that care, ask you to remember older friends. We're never too old to smile, to touch, to love. How will you make the holidays sparkle for an old friend this holiday season? Can you make that sparkle last all year?
We hope you enjoyed our special on the 1991 Cupertino Civic Service Award recipients. Through these 16 stories, it is evident that volunteerism takes many forms. You don't have to be retired or donate money or have any specific skill. All volunteerism takes is the individual desire to help. With a little luck, maybe you could become a volunteer here in Cupertino, and we will announce your name at next year's Civic Service Awards. Thank you for watching Points of Light. I'm Laura Domondon-Lee.